Hello! Welcome to the last in our series of bread basics. Today we are going to be making soft pretzels. Of all of the bread basics series thus far, this is definitely the one I am most qualified to talk about. I have made this recipe so many times. I have tweaked it, I've adapted it. I'm only going to be making about a half batch as opposed to a full batch because these are best eaten fresh. And I'm not that hungry right now, I'm so sorry. But you'll get the idea of how to make pretzels, and the reward is unparalleled. They're so good, so worth it. Let's jump right in. 3/4 cup of hot water, yeast, 1.5 tablespoons of honey. Y'all know how I feel about measuring. Seems good to me. I usually go very generous on the honey in this recipe because honey actually has some natural yeast in it, which is why I love to use it in place of sugar, especially when there's not that much sugar, because I feel like the natural yeast also work in the bread. And I just want to have some of those subtle flavors as well. But really, sugar is sugar is sugar, so whatever you decide to use is going to be fine. So we're going to mix this together. I want our butter to be softened. Okay, so we fully melted this, but that'll be okay. Can we talk about how cute this tiny little measuring cup is? It brings me so much joy. Butter is in. So we're going to start with 1/2 cup of bread flour, and then we're going to do 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. The mix here is to get that mixture of chewy and crunchy that we love. And then I'm going to do 1 cup of all-purpose flour, followed by 1/2 cup of all-purpose flour. And I'm using a fork because this is smaller. I usually prefer a fork. I feel like the tines help mix a little bit better than a spoon would. If I'm making a large volume of dough, I usually like to use a wooden spoon just because the fork will get lost inside the dough. Doesn't mean I haven't tried. Last 1/2 cup. You can see I'm impatient and already got my fingers in there. I'm gonna go straight in with my hands. I just squeeze it from all angles and kind of let it pour through the sides of my fingers, if you can see. We're gonna knead for about 10 minutes. Here she is, our beautiful dough, and let's poke test it. Oh, beautiful spring back. You know the drill. I don't even have to go over it anymore. We are going to generously oil this bowl. We are going to plop our dough in. We are going to generously oil our dough. And then we're going to cover this in plastic wrap and let it double in size. You may be wondering how pretzels get their essential pretzel essence. Well, it's through a thing called the Mylar reaction. The Mylar reaction, simply put, is a reaction between amino acids, the building blocks of proteins, and reducing sugars, or sugars that are accepting electrons. This process is responsible for the browning of foods and also the distinct cooked flavor. But don't mistake this process for caramelization. That is when you heat up sugar. It happens at a much higher temperature and is a different process, chemically speaking, altogether. The Mylar reaction is something that we can speed up through the addition of a basic solution. The outside of our pretzel is going to be made more basic by the addition of baking soda. Baking soda has a high pH, around 8 to 9. In professionally made pretzels, they use lye. Lye is incredibly dangerous. Do not use it in your own kitchen. Lye can have a pH up to 14. You know, the pH scale that goes from 0 to 14. Very dangerous. Baking soda is far more reasonable. So we soak the pretzel inside the baking soda solution, and that lowers the pH of the outside and it triggers the Mylar reaction faster inside the oven. And that's what gives pretzels their distinct pretzeliness. If all of that chemistry freaked you out, don't worry about it, because at its essence, all we're gonna do is we're gonna make a 3-to-1 mixture of water and baking soda. Now, in order to make this mixture actually dissolve, we're gonna boil this for about 3 to 4 minutes, and then we're gonna let it cool. If you don't let it cool, you will boil your pretzels. So this has been boiling for a couple of minutes now. You can really kind of hear it sizzle. And we're gonna turn the heat off and just start to let it cool. It's cool enough that we can stick our finger in it and it's fine, which means that it shouldn't be cooking our pretzels because we're not making bagels. Here's our pretzel dough. Looks so good. I have not made a single shot this whole series. Because pretzels are different shapes and sizes, you don't have to worry as much about measuring out so that they're equal. I'm going to show you how to make a couple of different pretzel shapes. I like to roll it out pretty thin, thinner than you think it should be, because it's going to proof a little bit after we dip it into the water. I'm going to show you a couple of shapes. One of them is the basic pretzel shape, and I'm not an expert at making this shape, but I get the gist. The other one is a much simpler pretzel twist. After that, you can just do whatever you want. It's quite fun. And that's the whole point. If you don't do something creative and fun when you're making the pretzels, then they're not going to turn out correctly. In order to make the pretzel shape, I'm going to give myself some more room. You pull up your two ends, and then you're essentially going to twist and then throw it down. So you twist it in the air, twist, and then put it down. But you have to do it pretty fast, okay? So twist and down. Whoop. I like to pinch the ends. This is the easiest pretzel shape for beginners. We are literally just going to fold it in half and then twist it. That is the whole thing. And twist, 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 and boom. There you go. You have officially made a pretzel twist. Ta-da! This is also a delicious shape to do, just for the record. Very tasty. So now that I have a couple of pretzel shapes, I'm going to take them and then I'm just gonna plop them in the bath. I let them hang out there for like 30 seconds to a minute. The darker you want your pretzel, the longer you should let it soak in there. So you can let it soak for up to like 5 minutes if you really want to have that like extra brown crust and you want it to be kind of crunchy. I like a little bit more of a chewy soft pretzel. And then to take these out, you literally just like scoop them from below. I like to do a two-handed. Confidence is key. I let them dehydrate a little bit and then you can kind of re-stretch them into the shape that they want because they deform a little bit in the water bath. But they're going to sit here and they're going to dehydrate and then they're going over here. Now I have all of these beautiful pretzel shapes. Kudos to whoever can determine all of these pretzel shapes. Oh, there we go, putting it back. So now we're gonna put these in the oven. They're gonna go in at 450 and we're gonna do 8 minutes. After 8 minutes, we're gonna brush all of them with butter and then sprinkle salt on top. And that is gonna give us the perfect amount of browning. Into the oven they go. 8 minutes. Already looking beautifully golden brown. Pretty quickly, we are going to brush them with some butter. As I've said with anything in this entire series, generous is the way to go. And then I have some flaky salt, but any sort of like larger coarse grained salt is good. And now they're going back in for about 3 to 4 minutes. Wow! I love making pretzels. Yeah, we just gotta let them cool and then we'll try them. Hello, and welcome to Masa's Pretzel Show and Tell. First up, we have a pretzel, followed by a pretzel and a pretzel. Then 2 pretzel twists, okay? And then, do you know what this is? Does anyone have an idea what this is? It's supposed to be a light bulb. And then, give me just a second. They fit! And then a beautiful little flower. Let's taste it. That's really yummy. If you make any of these recipes, you have to make pretzels. That's all from me. S is for see you later.